BBYGO back at it again. Who are we sitting with and what'd you do today?
It's me, Big Bad Jawn. And I went to YCS Houston and I got day 2. I didn't top, but I got close, I guess. Closest I've ever been. For viewers out there, I've never topped the regional. I kind of get cooked at locals and stuff, but I thought I'd turn it on this time just to try it out.
Alright, show us what you're working with, bro.
I decided to play pure Ryzeal. You know, I've been playing Ryzeal since the deck came out. I started off with Ryzeal Fiendsmith, then moved on to Ryzeal Mitsurugi. That was ass. Fiendsmith stuff was actually probably the best deck, but it's been solved right now. The cards have been together for so long, probably like 4 months now. I also tried the pure Steven Santoli inspired build. I didn't make up any of this. And also I played the Big Shark build from the YCS Vegas just to try it out. And in practice, coming up to the event over the month, I concluded that the pure Ryzeal is just much better, especially for me, like helmet playstyle. So let's get started. Let's go with the main engine of the deck. We're gonna go with the best Ryzeal monster here is EXT Ryzeal, 3 Ice Ryzeal, pretty standard, 3 Sword, and the 1 Node Brick. These are your 10 names. Nothing really to say other than EXT is very powerful because, of course, we know we can dump the Meteorologic Aggregator, Eclipse Twins, you know, things like that to help you break a board. So it's not just a starter, it's also a board breaker. So it's going first and second. And the deck does have its issues, but if you play correctly, you can play around things like Droll. I got Drolled like 70% of my game. I played 11 games, and most of them were Fiendsmith Ryzeal. I played 5 of those, 3 Malice, 1 Mimighoul, and the last deck was, I forgot, but it was a buy. I owned them. Oh, also, we can expand on this engine. So it's a small monster engine, but you have a lot of things that can help you grind and bring back resources. 2 Ryzeal Cross, of course, in pure is pretty standard. One of the best starters in the past 1 year format, Boyne Fire at 3x. Then we got the Pot, because you know we like that Za. We got the Pot of Prosperity at 1. Really good card, probably one of the best cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Always has been, deserves to be at 1. Pot of Desires is at 2. So I tested going with 2 and 3, and I found a reason to cut the 3rd, and I'll explain it later in the duel. But you need these cards to just be able to play the game, right? The next cards I'm going to talk about are going first cards. So really good going first cards now, as you see in YCS Las Vegas, called by the 3 triple tactics talents. Nothing self-explanatory, pretty much. We're going through the small hand trap lineup and also board breaker. So I actually use these cards more board breakers. So the 3 Imperms and the 3 Ashes. The Imperms are a board breaker, the common version, because you know you use this on a QCR detonator and then they go, oh, I can't play the game. This is good against the CR Malice, what is it, White Binder or whatever, the very boss monster. You know, it's using a very well-timed Ash Blossom will pretty much win you a lot of games. So that's what I learned going through this training arc. It was kind of like I did the Naruto thing on the Toad world, and I was doing the training for the Sage Jutsu stuff. Like I was putting grease on my back and drinking beer, and that's how it kind of evolved. So yeah, good tips there. Now we're gonna go on to the best cards, the board breakers. So good going second card is Book of Eclipse. Book of Moon is versatile going first or second. And then these are God cards here for breaking boards. The Ultimate Slayer, that's Appaloosa. They banned Appaloosa, but she's still on the art right here. Then we have the 2 Metaltronises. So I talked about earlier how I cut the Desires. So if some people play Desires and plug-in, I decided to tech in 2 Metaltronises. That's really the only innovation I had on this deck. I like net decking, saves me a lot of time. You know, I got a job, I gotta sleep, I gotta eat, you know, I got a pet, stuff like that. So 2 Metaltronises, I cut the plug-in, I cut the Desire. So Metaltronis, my theory was Metaltronis is good because it can also act as a starter. It gives you a level 4 body. You don't have to always banish Detonator. Another thing I did, I'll show you an extra, it's something very ownish, you know. I did it to one of my Malice opponents, and I crushed his dreams, and I said, you know, I said, oh, dude, yeah, I just kind of had everything, and kind of patted him on the back. But, you know, I was preparing for that, and it worked out perfectly well, honestly. This card can be ashable. But you know, you're making them use an ash, so nothing wrong with that. You make them waste the ash, and then you can just book if you clips them or something. All kinds of stuff. And the 3 God cards from Steven Santoli, Solemn Strike, very powerful cards. You know, you got to go with the Grand Creators. So I started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! When Grand Creators came out, so I had copious copies of this, right? Copious amounts. And I just had this one here because a friend gifted them to me. Actually, I think I got this from Japan, so it was like 50 cents inside bulk in Japan when I went, and it was American. I was like, oh, it's the only American card. Might as well buy it. So there's that. That's my main deck. It's a even 40. You cannot play this deck with more than 40 because, like I said, you only have 10 Ryzeal names. So you'll be bricking like, you know, like a big old Zogzik. So you really need to have that consistency. And let's go to the side deck. But before that, you know, I want to talk about like personal health and things like that and preparing for the event. So make sure you get sleep. Make sure you drink water. One good thing we tried during this event, it actually works. It's not just a meme. So we woke up in the morning after a good night's rest, and we actually used the ice face bath thing from that Ashton Hall did. It works really good. It gets rid of pimples and blemishes as well. Also, you pair that with some coffee, chewing gum, and eat like Uncrustables, little snackies. It gives you energy throughout the day. So there's that. You need to do that to make the rest of this work. So you know, it's like a three card combo in real life to top events. It's not just like, oh, you get the best deck. You know, you can't have a meal with just fries. You got to get the hot and spicy and the large drink, and then also like a McFlurry or apple pie as a dessert. So let's get to the dessert part of the deck. So side decking, I learned during this training arc, is probably one of the best things you need to do. Learning the side pattern. So I played copious amount with BBYGO, Josh, really good resource for the Fiendspill Ryzeal matchup. I played with Nick Simpson with Malice. My brother played Malice for about 2 hours. Chris from BBYGO played Malice too. I also helped him get off his ass and start practicing towards the end, but because I needed a practice partner, I was like, dude, you got to pick up these cards. Stop running your business. You know, you help me out. I'm about me. So, all right, let's start with it. So just to go on with the strategy deck. So if you guys haven't caught on, this is kind of like a helmet deck where you have board breakers, very little ways to interact during your opponent's turn. And you just kind of, you know, play one card, destroy everything type builds. That's the theory of the deck. So to go with that, these very good cards that destroy multiple amounts and copious amounts of your opponent's cards. Harpy's Feather Duster, Lightning Storm. All throughout the tournament, these cards were very good when I seen them. And most of the time, I just destroy their back row. I don't think I destroy their monsters at all. A lot of times that's good because you want to get rid of the Ryzeal Cross. You want to get rid of the Malice cards, right? Force them to use their TWAP cards like the GWC 06, the MTP 07, you know, all that stuff. That is my only rest of my board breakers in my side deck. So I know we talked about the theory of the deck, but I actually played 3 Jawn and Lockboids because the way my deck works, it gets destroyed by heavy combo decks such as Mermail, which happened to me in my last round on day 1. Mermail destroyed me, but it's also pretty decent versus the pure matchup. Also good going first card, I learned sometimes, because you set up a board, if you have a draw, it's kind of like a floodgatey card where they can't play anymore. So I think this is really good. Next, let's go on to going first card. So of course you're playing the 3 old men inside the deck, mained, you know, the rare copy. So I got to hit him with the ultra rare old men here. Look, 4K, you know, you pay 4K life and you make them cry, right? And then after that, this is a really good card. You know, shout out to, what's his name? The dude from Las Vegas or whatever. Yeah, the heavyweight champions from Las Vegas 3v3 YCS. They did really well in choosing this. So the card isn't that great by itself, but the thing about it is you only have 15 side deck slots, right? You can't put the whole damn buffet in here, right? You only have 15 slots. You can't get a lobster steak. You can't get chicken. You know, you can choose the good stuff, right? So me, I rather go for all red meat beef. That's what I like. So this card here is like a marble beef cut, like maybe brisket, right? Where it has a lot of fat. It's also lean, but you got to slow cook with it. So this card is very good against the Malice matchup. Decent good in Fiendspill Ryzeal. So if you can't make Dweller, you use this card against them, and it covers the matchup. This is also theoretically good against Mermail, but I didn't see it when I played Mermail, so rip me. And expanding on the Malice matchup, we have the 3 Artifact Lancia. And then I just realized I think most people do their extra deck before their side deck, but oh well. So this is pretty standard, like Ryzeal. So 2 Duo, 2 Detonator, of course, the best names for your small engine. Things that help your engine is the Eclipse Twin. It helps you grind. These cards are very good, especially in combination with Eclipse Twins. And also, if there's a way where you can set up combos where you play around nib by just summoning this, and if they nib, you're like, okay, I'll just end on the same board. Really good card in the super rare, not the common rare from the OTS. This is Meteor like an aggregator. Everyone knows what this card does, so it's combos really well with X to break boards. Really good card is Dugar. So the deck theory, if you haven't really thought about it yet, the theory behind this deck, I didn't make the deck, but this is what I interpreted. You know, sometimes you read a book and everyone interprets it a different way, so hopefully my way is right. So my interpretation is that because every card in this 40 card list is a very powerful card. Like, you're not drawing dead cards. The worst cards you can draw is like a double Desire or something, right? You draw a Desire off a Desire, or you draw multiples, but any card is theoretically able to be used. And if you draw a double Desire, okay, maybe you use another Desire next turn, or you just get rid of it with Dugaris or Node, something like that. So a lot of times I would, if I find out what they're playing and it doesn't lose to Dweller, I would just make Detonator, set 1, have Cross on the field, make this guy, draw 2, discard 1, draw like a Solemn Strike, Book, Hand Trap or something, discard Trash. And it's usually enough. So I've done that multiple times this tournament. I've done this with Desires and Cross, so you're drawing like, 4 cards or something, plus an infinite in a helmet deck. So this guy I played, it never came up, so he's there for nib, but I played so well that I didn't get nibbed a single time, or my opponents just never had nib. But I think it was the first option, because I remember talenting people and seeing nib in their hand. I was just like, okay, I just won't summon anymore, and proceed to kill them. Exciton Knight, this didn't come up, but it did come up a lot during practice. It's kind of like a Super Slayer, Star Slayer, Typhon, or whatever, where you kind of make it. It's like an emergency situation. It's like, okay, it'll let me survive, but you still lose most of the time. So a good example is like blowing up a Malice field. They can still play next turn. Talk about the best card all weekend. UCR Abyss Dweller, rip my boy. This is the last time you're going to see this guy. He's probably never coming back to Yu-Gi-Oh! But this is the card that single-handedly soloed all my Fiendsmith Ryzeal matchups. A lot of times, my opponent thinks they're chilling, right? Like, if I have Droll or something, I Droll them. And they're like, yeah, I'll play Fiendsmith cards. They don't lose to Droll. And then they'll play them and then set up Zogzik in the graveyard with Agumde and Desiree and all that bullcrap. I'm like, oh, dang, man, this is a hard math equation to solve. I just, like, have X, summon it, negate something, maybe one more board breaker, get rid of Desiree. And then before, I summon 2 bodies and they never do anything about it. They think I'm going to make Duo Drive or something, or Detonator or Exciton Knight. I'm like, no, you got Zogzik in your graveyard. I'm going to make this. And they're like, multiple times I've seen my opponent do that. So Copious, this is the best card in my deck. This is the only reason I did really well. And I'm glad I learned that pattern. So testing with Josh, we were kind of on the same page, like, yeah, you just make Dweller here and you just proceed to cook, right? You set up Dweller, and then after that, then you can like set up your Ryzeal combos and maybe have a Detonator and like hand traps, maybe like an Imperm and like a Solemn Strike or something set with, and that's enough to usually destroy your opponent if they just went Fiendsmith Engine last turn, right? So that's the theory behind that. So the Ultimate Slayer targets Bucephalus, Tri-Brigade, look like a Digimon, and then Garua. So these are good against his Malice or other link decks. So there's one time that was really cool in the tournament where the guy did that Lacrima and all that crap, and he summoned back the Requiem, and I had Ultimate Slayer in my hand. I was like, it says you can't like respond. So, usually Requiem, like everyone thinks they're safe because it can dodge Imperm, it can dodge Veiler, all this crap. So I'm like, no, you're not. And then I did that Ultimate Slayer. I dumped this dude, dumped this guy from his effect, and I drew like another board breaker, and I proceeded to own him. Also did it to a, where's my Malong at? I should have a Synchro Malong somewhere. Oh, Yeah, he's right here. He was in my deck box because he's common. But I did this to a Chaos Angel. The guy did the Fiendsmith Ryzeal combos, and he knew I had a lot of interaction. He didn't want my Detonator pop. He did the old Triff Gaming like, yeah, you make Fiendsmith Engraver. It's a 1 card out to Detonator. You know, you put Fiendsmith Engraver on the field, then you normal summon Ice, no effect. And he's like, I'm like, sure, okay, he did that. He did some banishing with his Chaos Angel, and I had this in my hand. I was like, he's cooked. You're cooked. And then, Ultimate Slayer, dude, you can see his face, bro. His boy was eating Dippin' Dots behind him, and them Dippin' Dots were melting because it was so hot. All right, so the last card this is from my Theory Craft thing, Metatronus Target, Malice White Binder. So this one, my day 2, I played against a Malice player, and I Metatronus'd his White Binder face down, and unbeknownst to him, I won game 1, and then as soon as I did that, he's like, we can go next. And then he didn't realize that, or he forgot that I cooked him game 1 so fast. And then I was like, I'll be a nice guy. Let's play. He was like, yeah, let's play it out. I was like, sure. But that kind of demoralized him. So once you break down an opponent like that, and they start showing the facial expressions, like, or they have their friends in the background, and they're like, they do this thing where, you pretty much know you won, and you can have the evil laugh inside. Just show no emotions in real life. So that's another tip I didn't include in there. So you gotta control your emotions when you're playing Rife. You want to make sure you have fun, but also when you're having fun, you can also keep track of your cards. So it's like multitasking, right? If you can have fun and focus on the cards in the hand and what you think they may have, then feel free to do it. But if not, you need to zone in on what's important, and that's winning the duel. So that's pretty much my deck profile. I don't think I missed any other goo, so I played, I think, 5 Fiendsmith Ryzeal, like I said, 3 Malice. I think every card in my deck had a place. I don't wish I had something other than Nibiru. A lot of people played it in the Nibiru. Too many Malice players, or the Malice games I lost, they were just went full combo and they were reckless. They didn't make the SP to protect themselves from Nib. They just like went way through. I wish I had that, but honestly, the only thing I feel like I could have cut was maybe Inscription for it, but Inscription did win me a few games, so there's that. Shout out to BBYGO, everyone who supported me, the Lake Charles locals, some of the Lafayette people, Vider people that I interact with. Usually I don't play really well or anything like that, I kind of go for a good time. But this time I wanted to try a little bit harder. I know I could have done better and tried to be better, so it was really surprising how well I did. And so I know the steps to get better. It's just like any skill in life. If you want to become a good cook, you want to become a good welder, you want to be good at washing cars, multiplication, calculus, it takes time, right? Some people are naturally gifted, but those people are very rare. So for the mass majority of like average people else, you have to grind, put in the time. So and also some people are good at like theory crafting and doing these cheese things, but me, like, dude, I ain't got time for that. I'm about to net deck and like, add a little bit of sprinkles here, or, cut my onions a different way when I'm cooking, but that's kind of like it. So I think everybody has the chance to do it. I don't want to say I'm like even a good player. I'm still learning. And if I keep it up and, maybe practice a little bit more, I can compound on that effectiveness of my dueling skills. So yeah, this is my first deck profile on the channel. So thank you guys for watching. Goodbye.
All right, BBYGO out.